Greetings, gods and goddesses in training. Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. Today we're talking about how to get out of that fragile mind that modern society so badly puts you in, you know? I remember going to a liberal arts college, okay, in Vermont, in the middle of nowhere. And we were surrounded by people who were just so sensitive and so just triggered by everything. Like literally everything. They'll find a reason to pinpoint something and just completely like get so sidetracked into that thing that it's not actually going to help them to thrive and do their courses and like create the plan process. Plan process was like you could create your own educational system there, which I really valued actually. That was really a potent understanding. If you're looking behind me right now, I'm at day 2 of a spiritual retreat that my father is hosting. And right now I'm in Bailakupe, a spiritual hub, a Tibetan region of South India. And I wanted to speak about this topic because I've noticed that in this modern day and age, like one little nitpicky comment that you tweeted ages ago can be scrutinized, put under a microscope, and you could be absolutely torn apart, right? Now, the thing about this understanding of this sensitivity, this hypersensitivity of this day and age is because think about the amount of stimulation that the youth have right nowadays. My dad was saying he even saw like a dog that was watching Shrek on an iPad, okay? And the moment you take that iPad away from the dog, it would start barking, right? So if we can train animals like that, think about how we're training our children, right? How are you training the future generation to respond to this stuff? And that's where I think being a flow state leader, being a leader who's a little bit refined, more living at their edge, rather than just a manager, right? There's a difference between leadership and management, correct? So you want to step into a leadership. And this is a big theme for myself and Ryan G. This has been a huge theme coming from Sovereignty of the Seraphim September this month. And then moving into what it actually means to be a leader, right? And how you kind of have to put yourself in the forefront and start to weave things in a decisive way, right? Now, there can be many pitfalls and challenges here, okay? And it's important to understand them all. So leadership is holding the tension of a vision that others cannot see. So it's always going to feel like this pressure plus a presence involved in your leadership. And I really want you to ponder and think about this. Does your leadership feel like too much pressure? And does it feel like not enough presence? That's going to make you a workaholic, frazzled, burnt out, not really focused at work, kind of doing it, not really understanding what to do. Some people just show up to work just to be there. Clock in and clock out and get a paycheck. What are you actually doing to benefit the society at large, right? So this is about being a living echo chamber, a resonance point, right? A dimension walker. So I walk through different dimensions every day and it's fun, right? I love just thinking in terms of, doing something and what if there were elves behind me, you know what? Like what if there were like, magical, enchanting things, right, along the way. Now, you could see leadership as almost like you're carrying a weight that's too heavy for people to carry. That's also another way of perceiving leadership, right? Because not everybody's willing to be a leader, right? Most of this day and age, we want to be a follower, right? Or have followers, which still kind of makes you a follower, right? Because, take a look at certain people out there, right? There's a lot of softness, right? But this journey is not about creating more softness. It's about getting more real, being more of yourself than you've ever done, right? Doubling down on you so you don't have to constantly like second guess yourself and like check if you're doing everything correctly. So modern day spirituality is oftentimes seen as this numbness, this escapism. It's kind of like an anesthesia rather than a healing and a medicine. And I want to recreate this, man, with this channel, PrimalSutra, because honestly, spirituality is such a medicine that it's been overlooked and it's been underrated, right? On so many levels, on so many levels. I understood as an omnist in the beginning of this path that I had this landing strip or this buffet of all these different schools of thought and culture and all of that. But now I'm slowly refining it towards my personal path with the divine, right? And that's a lot more powerful than segregating myself through all of these different practices and creating all this internal separation and confusion for myself, right? So only the ones that stand the test of time will continue on with me on my journey, okay? And I think the biggest thing for a flow state leader, such as yourself, you're probably watching and you're thinking, yeah, man, I was born to do this. Great, that's why you're here. You gotta have a dialed in nervous system that's greater than anybody else's, meaning that your coherence is potent and your coherence is powerful. Coherence meaning a connection of mind and heart. And once you get there, you understand that everybody else is matching your frequency, trying to blend in to your rhythm. They've entered the portal and the dimension of your world, and now they orbit around you because that is the strength that you pull. And around these flow state leaders or individuals, I've met quite a few of them throughout my life. Some of them have been mentors. Some of them have been people I've met by proxy, just randomly somewhere. Other times, even the trees are my mentor at times, right? So it doesn't really require like a very specific kind of catalyst, but it can be an all-encompassing, inspirational worldview once you tap into this. So around a flow state leader, time bends and your mission starts to sharpen. And it's almost like you flip the on switch in everybody, right? You make sure that their lights are blinking, okay? What I mean by that is, you know, when normal people speak, it's like people get disengaged and they're sort of like, why should I listen to this? What's the point, right? And it's usually delivered in quite a monotone way, right? But instead, dang, got some monk screaming over there. Now you know. But whoever sets the rhythm owns the room. The law of rhythm in Hermeticism, right? We talked about mentalism yesterday. But the law of rhythm is everything is happening in cycles. That's including your habits. That's including your relationships. That's including your responsibilities, right? So understand that everything is a cycle, then you're not so attached and clinging onto that one part of the cycle like, oh my gosh, I love winter so much. I need it to be winter. Not necessarily, you just need to adapt with the cycles, right? Wow, this bee is like, I've never seen a bee like that before. It might be a different kind of bug, but this bee, man, this wasp, I think, is dark blue, okay? That's what I'm seeing right now. Let me actually show you guys. Wild, huh? Likely that's one of my guides trying to reach me. These kinds of synchronicities are really cool, and I embrace them, you know, with a full heart. I could have just stopped the video and ignored that. But I think that's a part of the video, right? Is to embrace the unknown like that. And be able to still weave forward and make the video out in the end, right? Still get the slam dunk, still make it past the finish line, but instead you're playing your way there. You're enjoying the journey, right? You're enjoying the journey, you're not obsessed with the end product. And I think anybody who embodies this kind of leadership, they start to bypass the rational mind and tap in fully into their body. So certain flow state leaders that I've observed and seen, they're very connected to their inner body, their inner mechanisms and what's going on there. They've got to notice that because the physical health that you have is the foundation to the mental health that you have. So if you're treating your physical body like crap, your mental body will also be filled with a bunch of crap, right? And so this is how most people are leading their lives. They're so overstimulated with things that they get hypersensitized, or they've completely like kind of fizzled out their sensations, right? What if a certain individual could just crack open your shell, right? Just completely dissolve your ego away, right? And once you get that, you'll really start to perceive that as very different, right? There are certain individuals where you can think of them before you feel them, right? Obviously, these dogs are noticing my Sigma male energy right now, therefore they are barking, and even those two who are guarding the gates over there, if you guys can see that, there are 2 dogs over there tracking me down right now. But guess what? Every dog has its day, right? Or whatever they say. So anyway, let's continue. So a real flow state leader, you feel them before you think about them, right? Thinking about someone is oftentimes done with the thinking mind, right? Intellectually. You think about someone, but when you feel there's something stirring inside you, like there's something moving, right? The dials are moving. The coordinates internally are being activated, right? There's a beauty to that. And once you let others reveal their true nature, it is ultimately very powerful, because they have their true nature in terms of how they understand themselves and how they know themselves, right? So once you get that people have their own inner nature, and they will reveal themselves over time, you know what I mean? And once they reveal themselves over time, look at these cute guys, they will start to reveal their true character. So just by being around somebody, they will reveal their true self. So why do you have, as a leader, have to constantly micromanage everything and make sure that every single staff is working like this and doing it like that, and, you know, imposing your will and trying to press upon the world, right? Rather than giving them direction, giving them guidance, setting boundaries, right? This kind of stuff. And another aspect of this, guys, is to lead for something that is greater than little old you, okay? Your little fragmented ego, nah, it's not about that. It's about something bigger than that. It's about you realizing your creator consciousness again, right? And doing it for something greater, like a movement, a blessing for you, right? That will truly start to help you move along and move forward into the kind of life that you're really trying to create for yourself. So once you get that, then everything else unfolds very effortlessly, actually. And once you get that unfoldment process, things really become very simple. You know, this word responsibility is thrown around a lot in leadership, right? Be responsible, be responsible. But this is thrown around like some kind of a corporate buzzword, right? Real responsibility is the only game that's happening here, guys. It means no one's coming to save you. It means no one's coming to rescue you. It means you can't blame anybody other than yourself for your circumstances and your situations in life. I'm not saying and justifying that there aren't toxic people out there. Of course there are. But it's in how you handle and deal with that energy that eventually starts to either create you or destroy you, right? So this is a big realization of realizing that I am the field itself, right? I am the field itself. I'm not just this one individual trying to push my way up the mountain. I am the entirety of it all, right? I might have had a past life in Ecuador, or I might have had a past life in, Nicaragua. So that means I'm hemi-synced up, but also connected to the hemispheres of the planet. Ooh, I don't even know what that means, but that sounds hella poetic, right? This is the type of stuff that I'm talking about, guys. Is completely flowing with it and owning it. And stop outsourcing your power to different circumstances. Oh, it was this person, they said that, right? What are we, in middle school still? Right? Why are we doing that? Why are we putting, why are we pretending so much around others? Like, why can we not be so direct with others, right? Why can we not be direct? What is it that is preventing us from being so direct? Is it this fond response of like, okay, I grew up in a Bengali household and therefore I have to people please? Like, is it that? That can't be the only conclusion, right? There's got to be something else happening that's a cultural thing that's happening, that's kind of putting us into this mass hypnosis. So once I understand I am the entirety of this field, I'm not just doing a bunch of tasks to, hand in my resume and, check off a list. I'm creating to better myself and help others, you know? I'm not here to save the world, but for those individuals, the select few that resonate with me, resonate with this channel, these videos, they will know and they will grow, okay? So stop waiting to be saved and rescued and instead start engineering outcomes, okay? When I'd been through my darkest days in college, I'd understood that I had to experiment and experiment like a complete mystic mad scientist. That's when I found binaural entrainment, and I really started to raise my frequency and understand that my brain does not actually have to live only in beta brainwaves of this stress-riddled, anxious culture of people just like clashing with each other and arguing and like there's tension around. No, man. I'm feeling such a relaxation being here, by the way, guys. I don't know if you can tell, but there's an eminence, and I really needed this break because I'm a leader too. I serve a lot of people, man. Day to day, I have to hear horror stories from people and be completely cool with it, right? A cool cat with it, right? So I have to hear horrific stories. Like, you don't even know the insane shit that I've heard, right? It's immense. It's a lot to handle for one individual, right? And people ask me, how do you do it, man? How do you do it? You just go through the process and you do it, right? You live and you learn, you engineer. You start to move the coordinates around and you start to find that there's a right way forward through trial and error, right? But most people aren't even willing to create error or mistake. So that's the real root of the issue, right? The root of the issue is you keep outsourcing your power. Imagine, right, that you reclaimed all your power and in your lower dantian, like little below your belly button, and all the energy in the world that you've ever given to other people, toxic individuals who've stolen it from you, all of that is returning back to you right now. Do you notice the immense power that you feel right now? Just with that visualization, just with that mental exercise of you reclaiming your power? That goes to show you that this is what leadership needs to be. It needs to be a reclamation of our own inner power, our inner standing, right? It's sort of like, if you're thinking about, it's sort of like the analogy of, if you consistently identify with just your little old character in the video game, you can't access the boss levels of this thing, right? And so stop treating yourself like a little pawn in the chess set and see yourself as the entire chessboard. And you're the hand moving the pieces around now. That's gonna make you absolutely wired in and tapped in. And I don't know much of else that I wanted to say about this topic. Let me just check when the next meditation session is. Oh yeah, I have a lot of time. You know what, I'll end it here because it's getting quite sunny. I want to just rest and meditate a little bit. But I'll end with saying this, okay? I'll end with saying that you want to focus on not seeking safe spaces and safety, but creating them. Being the walking echo chamber of that safe space. That people, by proxy of knowing you and understanding you and your tribe, they'll start to feel the essence. They'll start to know what truly helps, and it'll all make sense eventually. Okay, so just hang in there. It's all gonna make sense eventually. You just have to put the pieces together, and that takes time, that takes effort, that takes discipline, as we call it, blisscipline. So hang in there, okay? The journey's not over yet. Stay legendary. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. You got this, we got this. Upward spiral gang to infinity and beyond. Let's get it. Boom.